platform come to rescue me at last. I just want to hug you and squeeze you and hold you close to me.
All right, okay. Just let go of me.
Oh, sorry.
Cinderella story. You want answers?
We're on a mission from God.
Inconceivable!
Take your stinking paws off me.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Have fun storming the castle.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Story Cauldron, finding the folktales, fables, and philosophies behind your favorite Hollywood films. I'm Bobby, the movie dude.
I'm Anthony, the philosophy guy.
And I'm Garrett, and I'm here.
And here on the Story Cauldron, we take about an hour to dive deep into Tolkien's Cauldron of Story, to explore the ingredient list of the movies that we all love. Just the way that Tolkien described it. Over the years, all of our stories and history, they get all mixed together in this bubbling pot and ladled out into a new generation. So what movie are we digesting today?
Today, it's Pirates in Space, requested by Amy Miller.
All right.
So let's start with the movie itself, Garrett.
Yeah, Treasure Planet.
Oh,
Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet.
That's the name of it.
I like Pirates in Space.
It's true. It's basically what it is.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah.
Well, this story. After a strange man dies on the floor of his mother's inn, Jim Hawkins is thrust into a swashbuckling adventure to find the loot of 1,000 worlds on the legendary Treasure Planet. Professor Delbert hires a crew to follow Jim's map, but they turn out to be a band of unruly pirates headed by the cook, John Silver. Although Silver takes a liking to Jim, the pirates ultimately overthrow the captain and capture Jim and Delbert. Eventually, Jim locates the treasure trove, but the pirates are caught in a booby trap, forcing Silver to choose between his friend and his treasure. It's a Disney movie, so everyone lives happily ever after, obviously.
Obviously.
Kinda.
Well, oh yeah, there's that one guy.
There's two guys.
Yeah, one of them deserves it, though.
Yeah.
True. And he's scary.
The spider.
I'm terrified.
Spider guy.
I had never seen this movie before.
I had never seen this movie either.
Same here.
I don't know why, because I really liked it.
It was pretty good.
And I think, I don't know where I would have heard it, but the music seemed really familiar to me.
I don't know, circa 2002 radio.
Well, okay,
Hashtag
no, I wasn't thinking of that song. Yes, there was that song. I meant the instrumental parts. Yeah, that sounded familiar, but yeah, of course.
Just sounded very
Goo Goo Dolls.
Disney.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just perfect.
Just the
retro
Disney.
But it's 2002, so it's...
And I think this is the most 2002 movie Disney could have come up with.
I was thinking, even Jim Hawkins' haircut is perfect.
Yeah.
For 2002.
I don't know. I had one of those Disney Channel original movies in mind. You know, that Xenon movie?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is a lot like that.
I was thinking Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World. But not so dumb. So none of us had seen it. So big thanks to Amy for recommending
for showing this to us.
This is a movie that I think I would have really, really liked, even when I was a kid. It reminded me a lot of Atlantis too, which we did a podcast on.
That's true.
Yeah,
this was before the full on CGI Disney Pixar took off, but
it's right at the end of the post-Renaissance period, or the beginning, I guess, of the post. It's the end of the Renaissance period of Disney.
There we go.
So it's I think it's even after Tarzan. But the guys, do you know who the directors are of this?
I do not. I probably should have looked that up.
Yeah,
but
I was surprised. But the directors are the same guys who directed The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah,
and Hercules and Moana. So here on the Story Cauldron, we've given a lot of love to Ron Clements and John Musker, apparently, or at least to their work, because we've covered several of their movies already.
Yeah, well,
without even realizing it.
I was just really excited that we've got David Hyde Pierce and Martin Short.
And Emma Thompson.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Martin Short. Like, any type of thing that he does is gold to me, so.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was in this until his character came on screen. I was like, that's Martin Short.
Yeah, he's got a very
I recognize that.
noticeable voice, doesn't he? You can really pick it out.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
This
distinctive.
I think in some ways it's not surprising that none of us had seen this before, because this movie did not do well. It has been listed as being one of the most, I should say financially. It did not do well financially. It's been listed as being one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, actually, because it cost a lot of money to make. We're talking $140 million to make. And worldwide, it only made $110 million. So domestically, I think it made less than $40 million. Yeah, less than $40 million on a $140 million price tag. So
Yeah, and I think opening weekend this not too long ago, because we had Star Wars, we had Jumanji, and we had Pitch Perfect and the stuff like that. And we're talking like those were the top three, but the other ones below that were still making almost 40 million.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Granted, I don't know how much 16 years of inflation would control.
Oh, that's true.
But
Very true.
But still,
that's not a lot.
This is not a lot of as far as movies go.
Yeah,
it was
especially Disney movies.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I don't know how this one got dropped so much by the culture, because it had a pretty decent critical response. I mean, it had some good reviews, but it also had some middling criticisms too. I mean, it just I don't think there was anybody out there who hated this movie. It just seemed like a lot of people missed it. They just didn't really care to go spend
easily
their money on
forgettable because I had totally forgot all about it.
I remember, you mean if you hadn't seen it, it was easy to forget about it?
I remember hearing about it a ton.
Sure.
And like, oh yeah, but then I'm like, whoosh, gone, you know.
Sure.
And until we had this request, I was like, that oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I think it gets overshadowed by all the other adaptations of Treasure Island.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to watch an adaptation to Treasure Island, it's probably going to be something with the Muppets. But
probably.
You're right.
But even though, all that being said, Treasure Planet did still pull a nomination for an Academy Award in
Best
2002.
Animated, right?
Best Animated Feature.
Yeah.
It lost to Spirited Away. Big surprise. I mean, Spirited Away
still
definitely would have won, but
still a big thing.
Oh yeah, Spirited Away.
Yeah,
definitely. So I don't know if that says more about Treasure Planet or if it says more about the paucity of animated films in 2002. That could be, but that's. Yeah, I mean, it never really, even since, it hasn't really pulled a lot of, cult support. I mean, it's popular enough, but, some people remember it, but it's more one of those movies, like you were just saying, Bobby, I think, that people say, oh, yeah, I remember, that's a thing, that's fun.
And then go on with their day.
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, I think I would watch it again. I'd listen to the instrumental.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised of what we were watching last night, and because I hadn't seen it until last night.
Yeah, same here.
So
same. So, but I think there are some good, some fair criticisms we could bring to it too. So, but that has a lot to do with where it's coming from. So
yeah.
And we've already kind of said the big one, the kind of the obvious one. Where is Treasure Planet coming from? Mm-hmm. Intentionally, Treasure Island.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss.
Right.
Yeah.
Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island.
The very first book that I read with chapters.
Yay!
I know.
He's moved on to chapter books.
Was that last night too?
It was actually last Monday.
Yeah. Okay. Merry Christmas.
I was actually like very, very excited to do a Treasure Island adaptation because, yeah, like I said, this is one of the first real large stories that I took on by myself, and boom, I loved it. So, which led me to like Kidnapped and Robinson Crusoe, all those different types of adventure, seafaring type books. So yeah, huge fan of the source material, and we'll have to get into that a little bit. But one thing that I want to address before we get into what it was, we all just barely watched it, and we all had pretty positive response to it, right?
Yeah.
What besides like the poor marketing and the like, oh yeah, that's kind of nice. What else do you think may have gone awry in the distribution phase?
Oh,
Because to be honest, I remember seeing it on TV and stuff like that, but I never remember anything in the movie theater.
I was 5, so
Well, yeah, you wouldn't remember much anyway, but
I
was living at the movie theater at this age, so I'm like,
I
why
remember
didn't I?
seeing some. I remember wanting to see the movie as a kid because I remember the previews for it. Specifically, I remember the robot in the previews.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought the previews made it look like he was going to be really funny. And I remember that, and I remember there was this big scene in the preview where he's on the rocket.
Yeah, like the
sail
windsurf
skateboard thing.
board.
Yeah. That's what it's called. Rocket windsurfing thing. And I thought that looked really cool too. But I would assume that Burger King or McDonald's or somebody had
They probably had a
Happy
toy
Meals.
or something. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
But I feel like this would have been like, I would have been all over it at the time, and I missed it somehow. And I lived at the movie theater, and I lived in front of Disney Channel, so I'm just kind of wondering how did that go wrong, But
I wonder if well, no, because they had a pretty big commitment to it, financially speaking. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
$140 million.
yeah, that's a chunk of change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As I'm looking, I mean, yeah, there was a lot. There were ice cream flavors. There were
so many video games.
spoons.
Was it just that it was just far enough off of the source material that people were like, okay, that's a little weird?
See, I wouldn't think so, but
It is pretty. That's
the
one of my
storyline.
problems with it. I think that's the thing that bugs me about it is that it is some of the changes from Treasure Island. But I don't know if people would. I don't know if that would turn people away from the movie theater.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't even know that until you watch
You
it.
don't know until you watch it, but I don't know.
It is weird. I think there are some movies that become hugely popular, and you can't really understand why. Napoleon Dynamite. And then there are some
I'm
movies.
sitting in the shade.
Am I wrong? I mean, it's,
No, I understand.
I'm
it.
not saying it's a bad movie or anything like that. I mean, arguably, but it doesn't really make sense why it became so hugely popular.
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from on
And
that
this
one.
is kind of the reverse of that, right? Because it seems like it's got everything that should be wild.
To be honest, though, I think part of our opinion of Napoleon Dynamite comes from that it was filmed an hour away from here.
Well, that's your thing.
yeah, that's not your thing. But anyway, we digress. Well, yeah, I guess it is just one of those things, and it's a movie mystery.
I wonder what time of year did it come out? Maybe that has something to do with it. But it came out on November 27th, so right after Thanksgiving. I don't know. People should go see it. People should have gone and seen this movie.
Yes, I agree.
This is a strange mystery you've just uncovered for us now.
Yeah, I
This
don't
is
know.
going
It's
to
just
bother
one of those things that was nagging at the back of my head. I had to get it out.
Well,
But
thank
don't know.
you that now we can all share in your misery.
Part
Yeah.
of one of the things that I
glass
was
shattering in the background.
One of the things that I was thinking when you brought that up is just kind of, it seems like this film sort of followed sort of like a method. Like, it just seemed like a lot of stuff that they had done had already been done before. And I don't know if that's just because I've seen
Oh, you
some-
mean like modeling a character after James Dean?
No.
Oh.
I mean, just like, well, kind of like Story Cauldron, how you have ingredients. Like, some people say, oh, well, this works for this movie and this works for this movie, so let's do that in this movie.
Oh, it seems like repetitive.
Yeah, I can't think of what the word is because I'm not good at words. But it seemed like I'd seen it before, even though I'd never seen it.
Yeah.
I wonder if people might have been kind of burnt out on Disney at that time too, because looking at the list of the movies that Disney had released prior to Treasure Planet, I'll just read. These are the movies that all came out from Disney. No, I'll just read the animated ones. Lilo and Stitch came out earlier that same year. Return to Neverland, which I think is a Peter Pan sequel, that
Yeah.
went
Yeah,
straight
it
to
is.
video. Monsters, Inc., which is now retroactively a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't considered Disney at the time. Atlantis, The Lost Empire was the previous year. The Emperor's New Groove. And honestly, you'd have to go back to.
So it's probably overshadowed by a lot of those big Disney hits.
Well, honestly, I was thinking the other way around because, I mean, these are popular movies in their own kind of way, but they're not. When you think of Disney movies, you think of
That's true.
Beauty and the Beast, you think of what?
Where it was
Little
like a
Mermaid.
big event for one movie to come out a year.
Yeah, The Lion King came out in 1994. Pocahontas came out in 1995. Hercules came out in 1997. And honestly, well, Mulan came out in 98. But then after that, I mean, you could argue that Tarzan was big in 99, but there really wasn't anything that was hugely popular.
It was just kind of becoming saturated with Disney movies.
And they were kind of not.
Falling flat.
Yeah, they were just kind of falling flat. So I think because this was in kind of that lull period. It wasn't until, oh, geez, what would you say, like maybe 2009, 2010? 2009 is when The Princess and the Frog came out, and that's kind of what started a lot of the love for Disney again. So I don't know, but
The second Disney Dark Age.
that's kind of what this post-Renaissance period is.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's the problem, which is a shame because Treasure Planet, they had been trying to make Treasure Planet for a long time.
Yeah.
All the way back in the 80s is when the guys first, when they were talking about doing the Black Cauldron, they were talking about doing a Treasure Island adaptation in space.
Gotcha.
And I think they were calling it Treasure Island in Space at the time or something like that.
That would have been
That's
awesome.
what they pitched it as.
So it just it kept falling around and getting pushed back or something. So finally, when these two, when Clements and Musker were tapped to do Hercules, they said, okay, we'll do that if we can do Treasure Planet next.
Nice.
And it still took 5 years for Treasure Planet to get released.
Oh, there's a lot of CGI that was put in there. I mean, you wouldn't think of that being a big deal these days, but I mean...
Well, it was really weird the way they did it because they did 2D hand drawings over 3D computer-generated images.
Yeah.
That seems backwards. I mean, I'm sure you're right. It just, I don't understand how that would work, right?
Like, all the characters were hand-drawn, but bigger things. Like,
I see what you mean.
CGI.
I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about like they would have a 3D drawing of an arm and then they would like color it in with a colored pencil or something.
Gotcha.
Like they just tried to mix
smart.
the two in that way.
Yeah. And it does make for kind of a strange effect sometimes. I thought that the ship looked really cool. The way that the ship was flying through the space that wasn't technically space. Yeah, I thought that looked really nice.
What was that called? The ether sphere?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds right.
Dang. Okay.
So,
Well, now that, we've kind of fleshed that out a little bit, let's go into what it was. Yeah?
Oh, sure.
Treasure Island. Have you read Treasure Island, Garrett? Mm-hmm. I have read an abridged version of Treasure Island. I've never
Treasure
read.
Island Light.
Yeah. Treasure... Treasure Sandbar.
There you go. Treasure Peninsula.
Well, I read an abridged version and then I read an unabridged version.
Yeah, I never read the full version, but I remember like I have these weird little bits. The part I always remember is the skeleton pointing the way to the treasure. That's the part that sticks out in my head. But how for you guys who have read this more in depth, how close would you say Treasure Planet's story is to Treasure Island's story?
I thought it was pretty close.
It's fairly close, yeah. I mean, there's a few changes.
And obviously, you're not just talking about like the aliens and the
not the
spaceships
aliens, but like just the way events unfold are slightly different. And for those of you that have seen Treasure Planet, we'll go over a small summary of the actual story, the book from Robert Louis Stevenson. Maybe that's the best way to get started.
Yeah, that's good. That'll help me remember it too.
So Jim Hawkins, our protagonist, is a young boy who lives at his parents' inn, the Admiral Benbow. So
wait, both of his parents?
Yes. Well, kind of.
Oh.
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
So his father did pass away.
Oh, sad.
But anyway, it's the 18th century. There's this old sea captain who is at the inn. His name's Billy Bones, and he starts going off on stories. And this strange man comes in, presents Billy Bones with the black spot, which is the pirate's death sentence, and which was missing from.
Oh, yeah. He was just kind of weirdly sick or something.
Yeah, he just like hopped into the inn, said, "Hey, take this," and then everybody came in, for Treasure Planet.
Hide from the cyborg.
Yeah.
Hey, that was good.
The one-legged man.
Thank you. Hire me for voiceover work.
So Jim is stirred to action by the spot and its mysterious, accurate portent of Billy's death. So Jim and his mother find this map and leave the inn before these pirates come in to ransack the place and search it for this treasure map. Jim realizes that it's probably pretty important if all these people are willing to, pillage and murder for this piece of paper. He takes the document to Dr. Livesley and Squire Trelawney. They recognize it as a map from Captain Flint, the famed pirate. This huge treasure buried on a distant island. And they start to outfit this ship, the Hispaniola, and they are kind of tricked by, I can't remember exactly how they're tricked into hiring this crew, which contains Long John Silver, who is Flint's former mate on the ship, and many of Flint's crew. So they ended up staffing this Hispaniola. And then only the captain, I do believe, and maybe the first mate, Captain Smollett, are trustworthy, and they set sail, and everything seems to be going well until Jim overhears Long John Silver talk about his plans for a mutiny.
While hiding in a barrel of apples, I'm going to add. It's important.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. Not weird purple fruit things that spider people like to eat.
Yeah. So, anyway. I don't know. That spider dude creeped me out.
I'm contributing.
It was like a spider with lobster claws.
Yeah. And
It is weird.
a deep, evil, gravelly voice.
Yeah. So,
Yummy.
so anyway, they hear about this mutiny. Captain Smollett's like, "Hey, how about we send the crew ashore to get provisions, and then we'll just leave without them?" Well, Long John Silver kind of thinks ahead and he says, "Okay, I don't trust this." Pulls Jim into the boat, and he is sent to ashore with them. Smollett says, "Hey, we can't leave without Jim. He's innocent." And so they run off, and Jim runs off and finds a hiding place and witnesses a murder and Long John Silver murdering a sailor, and he finds this half crazy guy named Ben Gunn, which is a half crazy robot named Ben in Treasure Planet, right?
Bioelectric
Navigator.
That's it.
Yeah. So, and Ben had once served on Flint's crew, but was marooned on the island years earlier. So, while Smollett and his men go to shore and take shelter in a stockade that the pirates built, Silver attempts sort of a negotiation with the captain, and the captain refuses everything, and they are then attacked.
Oh, yeah, they go to war.
They go to war on this island. Yeah.
Right.
So during the war, Jim takes Ben Gunn's makeshift boat, and he's going to sail it out to the pirate ship, which is anchored out in the cove, and he's going to cut it and set it adrift. And he's like,
Cut the pirate ship adrift? Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's not really thinking ahead, but anyway.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
He realizes that he's drifting too close to the pirates' camp and that he's going to be discovered on his way out to this boat. So he floats to the ship and climbs aboard. He sees one of the watchmen, Israel Hands, and Israel has killed one of the other sailors in a drunken rage upon the boat. And
Does he have lobster hands?
that would be crazy. But Jim's wounded because he's found by Israel, but Jim kills Israel, but is wounded himself. And so after the Watchmen are taken care of, because one killed the other, and then Jim kills one, he takes control of the ship. Jim has control of the ship. And he returns to the stockade, finds it occupied by pirates. Jim is taken hostage by the pirates, and Jim realizes that Silver's having issues managing all these pirates and stuff, and who are accusing him of treachery. And they present Silver with the black spot, which we've already gone over is the pirate's death sentence.
Oh, man.
So Silver is like, no, I will take you straight to the treasure. They go to where the treasure's supposed to be. They find it's already dug up and empty.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And the pirates are not happy. In fact, they're near mutiny again.
Did they learn that the treasure was inside them
Inside
the whole time?
them the whole time. That would make it a real Disney movie. Yeah.
It's the treasure of friendship. Oh, wait, that is Treasure Planet again.
Yeah. But so this is where things kind of take a turn. Ben has dug up the treasure himself, put it in his cave, and was like hiding it from anybody else. He just didn't tell anybody. Yeah, so most of these pirates are captured by Captain Smollett as they're trying to dig up this treasure. Or actually, they're not happy because they found all these empty chests and stuff like that. So taking advantage of the situation, we have Smollett and all the other officers on the ship open fire on these men. They scatter. They head out all these different directions, and some of are arrested. Some of them are just marooned on the island, just left there. And so it takes them a bunch of days to get the treasure onto the ship from Ben's cave. And then they decide that, hey, they're going to just leave all these mutineers on the island except for Long John Silver. That he's going to go stand trial in Britain. And halfway through this decision process, and they're about ready to set sail back for home, Long John Silver steals a portion of the treasure and escapes on a longboat, and is never seen again.
Until the sequel.
Yeah. So, and then of
I
course,
don't think there's actually a sequel.
there's not really a sequel. There's just like an epilogue that talks about Jim swearing off treasure hunting, and he has all these nightmares about treasure and gold and.
Oh, he's PTSD.
Yeah,
That's
sad.
dark.
So anyway, that was the shortened version. Even though it cost 20 minutes. It's a long story. It really is.
It was published in serial. It was serially published. Where they publish a bit at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe because it is kind of a chore. Not a chore. That sounds bad, but it is long. There's a lot to it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to publish a serial, you've got to have a cliffhanger every so on, and
At the end of every part.
at the end of every section. So there is a lot going on in the story.
Okay, so in the original story, what was Long John Silver's and Jim's relationship? Did they really have a relationship?
There was a friendly relationship. I think the Treasure Planet played up the fatherly relationship way too much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not way too much,
Not
but they
too much,
definitely
but
did.
They played it up.
Well, my opinion.
According to the source material, I think it was played up exponentially almost. I mean,
Because that is the story of Treasure
It is the
Planet,
story,
right?
yeah.
Is poor Jim Hawkins, who's a rebel without a cause, who has no father figure, and
yeah.
and
I actually
hates
wrote that
everybody.
down, like, how original for a troubled but incredibly smart young man to go out on an adventure to bring honor back to his family.
Oh,
or whatever.
guys,
Yeah.
this is another Bildungsroman.
Oh.
Hey, we talked about that in the last episode.
And see, when I was watching this opening sequence of this movie, Treasure Planet, I thought of Star Trek, where it's got James T. Kirk driving around in the newer
You're talking
movies.
about J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
First.
Or side boot, whatever they're called.
Whatever they're called. But when he's cruising around in the Corvette, same
Very similar.
feel, yeah.
And he doesn't he get arrested in that
Yeah.
too? Yeah. Yeah, that is right. And then he finds the father figure in John Silver. I don't think they call him
John
Long
Silver,
John
yeah.
Silver.
Yeah.
I like Morph.
Morph is great.
I like more.
Because Long John Silver had this parrot.
Yes.
And it's kind of one of the iconic. And we think of, I think a lot of our iconic images of pirates come from Treasure Island, where you've got the peg leg and the pirate on the shoulder and the eye patch.
Parrot
on the shoulder.
Wait, what did I say?
Pirate.
Pirate on the shoulder? Oh,
Pirate on the shoulder of a pirate.
Pirate. It's pirates all the way down, man.
Pirateception.
Pirates. Yeah. Parrot. Parrot on the pirate. Ross Perot's parrot on his. Anyway.
Although you do have that one alien where he's sitting on another alien.
That's true.
Clearly, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But Morph is a cool little
Sidekick. I'd say.
Yeah, there's
Like, don't get me
pet.
wrong. I was
Cute
so
sidekick.
upset with him a lot of the story, but like he's cute. He can stay.
He's cute.
Yeah.
He knows not what he does.
Just a cute little dumb sidekick.
He's like a blob
what
of
Disney
silly
movie
putty.
would be complete without one of those. And I think that I mean you can see in especially the names of all the characters. That's one thing that they kept. Jim, John, Ben, Billy Bones, Flint, the Benbow Inn. They did condense, do you say Squire Trelawney?
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Dr. I want to say
Livesley.
Livesley.
Dr.
Yeah.
Livesley.
Dr. Livesley and Squire Trelawney were kind of shoved together into Professor Delbert.
Yes.
Good old Niles Crane in space.
Absolutely.
I think I liked that. I thought he was funny.
Oh, he was my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
He and Martin Short.
I'm just a huge Emma Thompson fan, so
Yeah.
Did you think it was necessary for the two of them to have a romantic connection? Or did that just seem like they didn't know what else to do with her character?
I don't know. It seemed like, well, every story these days has to have some sort of romance in it.
Yeah, for Disney, that's true.
So,
I mean, I didn't hate it. I just thought, oh, yeah, they ran out of... After there was the mutiny against the captain, like, they didn't have anything else for her to do. So they just had her wounded, and so she could be unconscious, and then captured. And then apparently pregnant or something, because they had babies at the end.
I don't know. I don't think it was they ran out of ideas. I just think it seemed possibly in their minds as the next logical step.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably being overly cynical there, but
2002 Disney.
yeah. Well, not so much now. I think you're right. Things have changed a little bit, but okay. Well, this is not the first time that Treasure Island has been adapted. Obviously, I mean, like you said, there are tons,
Multiples. Yeah.
tons of things out there, and funnily enough, this is not the first time that Treasure Island has been adapted into space.
Oh boy.
We're gonna have to put a link to this on the show in the show notes because this has you can watch the entire thing on YouTube. But in 1982, Bulgaria released its first full-length animated film, and it was called Planetata na Sakrovistata, which means the treasure planet, and it is amazing.
Hilariously.
It's kind of not, but it is amazing.
It's amazing how unamazing it is.
Yeah. The IMDb summary is just one sentence without a period that says, a villain wants to stop the crew from getting to a gem that will bring life back to Earth. Because in that movie, it's like Earth has... It's almost kind of like WALL-E, too, where all of the plants and animals on Earth have died, and they're looking for the treasure planet because there's something on the treasure planet that can kickstart life on Earth again. And for some reason, somebody thinks that's a bad idea, but it's a cartoon, and it is amazing.
It's over the top.
It is absolutely over the top. But it's...
so extra?
It's...
Oh, no.
Keeping it with the
takes
lingo.
all of the names...
I'm shook.
From Robert Louis Stevenson's story, and they're in space and they're aliens. They actually even look like aliens, but I think they're supposed to be humans. So the idea of Treasure Planet in space, or of Treasure Island in space, is not new in 2002 even. But and even as I'm talking, I remember something now from my childhood. You guys watched Gilligan's Island, right?
Oh yeah,
Of course. Did you ever watch the Gilligan's Island cartoon?
no.
There was a Gilligan's Island cartoon, which was the same idea as Gilligan's, I think. But then there was a sequel called Gilligan's Planet, where the professor builds a rocket to get them off the island, but overshoots something and they go to an alien planet. And I am 92% sure this is not just a fever dream I had. I will have to go and find some.
I'm
some
looking
proof
it up
of this.
right now.
Please, yes, fact check me in real time, because once again, Gilligan's Island, very similar to, or really being influenced by Treasure Island.
Don't say Treasure Planet.
I know, I've got to keep those straight. And Robinson Crusoe and these sorts of stories. So the idea of them going to space, and then here we are with Treasure Planet in 2000. Am I right? Is it real?
It's real.
It's real.
Gilligan's Planet is an American Saturday morning animated series that aired during the 1982-1983 season on CBS. It was the second animated spin-off for Gilligan's Island. The first was The New Adventures of Gilligan.
See that?
Gotcha.
I am right about something.
Well, it's all that crazy TV you had overseas.
That's you are exactly right. Yeah, this is one of those weird things that we got when we lived overseas, and it was like out of some TV channel in Sicily or something. Or Cyprus, I don't know. But yeah, Treasure Planet is a really, I think it is a sensible step. It reminds me of something that Jay said. Jay from the Story Geeks, when we had him on, when we were talking about Indiana Jones. Remember how he was talking about the lack of mystery in the world? How Google Earth and everything has kind of removed the places on the globe where we are lost and that are mysterious to us.
Yeah.
So if you want mystery, you need to go to another planet. You
got to go farther. Yeah.
Got to go farther out. And so Treasure Planet, another example of that principle, the J principle. We'll name it after him. But I think they did it well enough. I mean, I thought it was...
Yeah, no, it was great. I wish there was a little bit more Billy Bones in Treasure Planet, though.
Yeah, he dies pretty quickly.
He dies immediately. He's all like, I have a thing here.
They want me chest.
Dead. Yeah. So, and when I go back to think of some of my other favorite adaptations of Treasure Island, Billy Bones is like this storytelling character, and he sets up a lot of the exposition, but he does it in a way that's sparks the interest in Jim, of like, hey, this is a thing. This is, and it's...
he doesn't really do that in
I
this,
feel
does he?
like Jim in Treasure Planet's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, bro. Yeah.
Well, it was
Seriously.
2002.
Yeah, it was, and he's modeled after James Dean and, Rebel Without a Cause and stuff. But it's just kind of...
Yeah, even when the captain
come on, man.
tells him to like go get to work or something, you're like, fine. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you saw who did his voice, right?
JGL.
Good Lord, that man can do everything.
I think I read somewhere that David Hyde Pierce was the only person that had come on to this cast that had done voiceover work before.
Really? Emma Thompson hadn't done it before?
It was the first time she had done
Really?
it. She was so excited because she was pregnant and didn't have to actually be filmed. So
nice.
Because it was animated, so she could just talk through it.
Okay. I do. When it comes to adaptations of Treasure Island, though, one thing that I do really like about this is the style. I like that they didn't go with the Star Trek aesthetic.
Yeah, full on space.
Yeah. It's not, they're not in rocket ships. They're in sailing ships.
Yeah.
And they're, it is a very steampunk-esque sort of aesthetic as opposed to just simply futuristic. And I really do like that, the whole steampunk shtick where it's this mashup of how did you put it earlier, Garrett? You said it well.
Oh, did I? I don't know. The way I kind of think of it is it's like old and new together. It's like having modern things, but it also looks super Victorian.
Yeah. Lots of gears, lots of wood and brass.
But at the same time, it's supposed to be like everything's run off of steam, which is like,
they just kind of, well, I mean, again, it's a Disney movie that's 90 minutes long, so it's not like they're going to get into the mechanics of the engines.
Yeah,
it's true.
But,
also they did have like laser guns and stuff. So
I was really confused why the ship had barnacles on it. That part didn't make any sense to me.
I didn't even like blink an eye at it.
Yeah, because, I mean, okay, whatever. But this is steampunk is something that draws a lot of its roots from guys like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, some of these Victorian era thinkers or storytellers
I love it.
who were telling extremely futuristic stories about time travel and space travel and travel under the sea and things like that.
The time machine.
Favorite example of steampunk is still Wild Wild West.
That is such a great bad movie.
I mean, that's where I was introduced to steampunk, really.
That's probably me too, actually.
And it was interesting.
Wild West.
But big mechanical spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It was either that or the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen for me, because that's another real steampunky sort of, especially Jules Verne. I mean, literally a Jules Verne character is one of the main characters. And an H.G. Wells character. Yeah, what am I thinking?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So, I like how Treasure Planet, didn't even try to explain stuff. Like, they can breathe in space. Well, it's not really space. It's ethereal space.
There's an atmosphere everywhere.
Yeah.
Even though there's no gravity.
No gravity.
But there's still... Yeah, then there's black holes, which guys can fall into. And, I mean, they... whatever. It's fun. I think it managed to maintain some of the kind of whimsical fantasy nature. Because otherwise, a lot of it would be pretty scary, I think. The whole idea. I know, especially you, Garrett, you would have been cringing for like half the movie.
Died.
If there was actual black space out.
If there was no atmosphere, I would have just been like, nope, I'm turning this movie off.
Yeah.
They're all going to die.
So... but I think that the line that they were trying to walk between this futuristic but also historical story is, that was intentional. They said they had the filmmakers talked about their 70-30 rule. They wanted it to be 70% old, basically. 70% traditional and 30% science fiction. And I think that worked. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts, actually, was just the look of everything.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I dig it. Yeah, I think that without it, it would have, again, fallen flat or something. It had to have that sort of style of it has the style of the original novel. Like, it kind of references that, and even with the John Silver he doesn't have a peg leg, he has a mechanical leg, Yeah.
And he when Jim stabs him in the leg, it's steam powered, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's steam that comes out of it. I forgot about that.
And it's I just really like, they didn't do full on robotic, where it's like, oh, it's indistinguishable from the rest of his body. Like, no, it's like,
yeah, you can tell.
You can tell that he's having issues with his leg.
And they clearly could have, because there is Ben, the robot, in it. So there are robots in this world, but they're Yeah,
And
they're
like the
walking
cops
up
are
line.
robots too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the cops. I really like Ben, not just because he's Martin Short, but I think here's another thing we can talk about, another source for Treasure Planet. I wasn't sure if I was reading this in, but then there was a line that convinced me. Nah, I think I'm right about this. Have you guys ever read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have not read it.
I love it. It is so it's by Douglas Adams, and it's called The Hitchhiker's Trilogy, but there's 5 books, which kind of tells you something about the sense of humor of the story. But you would like it, Garrett. The first book begins with Earth getting blown up.
Why?
Because aliens are trying to make way for a new superhighway.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, like they're building an interstate.
Yeah.
And so they have to clear out the
domain.
planet. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's so funny. But one of the main characters of the Hitchhiker's Trilogy is this robot named Marvin the paranoid android, who is immensely depressed, and he's several times as old as the universe itself because of some time travel quibbles. But Ben. There's actually one part of one of the later books where Marvin gets marooned on this planet for a long time. It's one of the times where he just is there for like trillions of years or something, waiting for everybody else to catch up to him. He starts talking to this mattress, and it's funny. But Ben in the forest on Treasure Planet, marooned for a long time. I thought, I don't know, that's kind of a flimsy connection. But then they quoted the most famous line from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is "Don't panic." They have been shouting that, "Don't panic, don't panic," and that's what is actually printed on The Hitchhiker's Guide. Because in the book, it's an actual book, like it's an actual guide that you have when you're hitchhiking around the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And right on the front, that's actually what I put on my phone. It says, "Don't panic." So I think we've got a little Douglas Adams connection
For
here.
sure. I like that. Yeah.
And if you've not read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it is worth your time.
I had. It was a while back, though.
Arthur Dent.
I might have to go back and reread it.
Trillion. I'm just thinking of the characters. Ford Prefect. He's my boy. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We're here to talk about Treasure Planet, not Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, so as most of the movies that we talk about on this show, a little bit of Shakespeare.
Ooh, tell me more.
Shakespeare?
Your favorite spider lobster man.
Ew.
Well, do you remember his name?
Scroop.
Scroop. That's right.
I only remember because it
Scroop-a-loop.
reminds me of Fat Man Scoop, but it's Scroop.
Well, it should remind you of Lord Scrope from
Sounds dirty.
Henry V. He was dirty. He absolutely was. He was one of the conspirators who were trying to murder Henry V.
Oh.
And he is... Wait, what happens to him? I think he dies. I think he gets killed in the play. Maybe he dies off stage, though. Because he's only in, like, one scene of Henry V.
Maybe he gets lost in
Lost in space.
Gravity.
He gets thrown into a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he is just like how Mr. Scroop is one of the conspirators in the mutiny. And arguably, he's the villain of the show, right? I mean, John Silver is kind of, he goes back and forth. You don't know, is he a good guy, is he a bad guy? And he ends up as a good guy in the end. Hooray.
Yeah.
But Scroop, he's
awful.
Awful all the way through. He's the murderer.
Mm-hmm.
He murders that poor other guy whose name I don't... Mr. Arrow.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
First mate Arrow.
He's the one that got sucked into the black hole.
He seemed like such a stand-up guy, too.
Very stand-up. Very stout.
He looked... You know who he looked like? He looked like Korg from Thor 3. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
You should. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been trying to watch movies for the podcast. I haven't had
I
time
know.
for pleasure watching.
That's good. No pleasure. Just work on the story, Cauldron. And there is one more name we should talk about, which is the name of the spaceport where he lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Montresor?
Perked your ears up at Montresor, huh?
Yeah. I was like,
I thought it was Montresor.
Montresor. Well, yeah, it's Montresor, but it's also Montresor.
Okay.
Yeah. Some Edgar Allan Poe action going on. Which I was like trying to find some sort of like connection other than the name, and I was kind of having a hard time because Montresor is the name of the, well, I don't know, he was protagonist, antagonist,
The main character.
the main character.
He's the protagonist in the sense that he projects the action. He
is the
forwards
unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Cask of Amontillado.
Do you remember, did you have to read that in school? I had to read it in school. I remember that.
Yeah, I have to teach it in school.
Yay! I like Edgar Allan Poe.
No, that was pretty good. We did it for Halloween.
Nice. Fun.
Yeah, and it makes me never want to go into anybody else's basement.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they'll brick me up in the wall. I talk a lot.
Yeah.
The 1,000 injuries.
I'm not helping you with your basement now, just so you know.
Yeah.
Your basement needs all that work. You are on your own.
Okay.
But yeah, Montresor, I don't know. I think you could see how Montresor in the Cask of Amontillado, that's the one where he bricks the guy up in
Yeah,
the wall.
he basically tempts Fortunato, who is the other guy, to come down into his wine cellar. He's all like, I'm not sure if this is Amontillado. It could be some cheap knockoff wine. And Fortunato's like, you have talked to the right guy. I am a wine connoisseur. And he's drunk. It's,
That's when
it's
you
carnival.
start pouring the swill.
Yeah. So anyway, they're making their way down to this wine cellar, and Montresor keeps saying like, "Hey, you keep coughing. This mold and stuff's not good for you. You'll catch your death down here, and we should turn back." And of course, I don't know. I guess it would be greed and pride that keep Fortunato going down into the cellar to try out this wine, and so they finally get down there. Montresor chains Fortunato to the wall and bricks him into the wall.
Cute.
Yeah. So, and I'm like,
I think, I can see some connection with the idea of betrayal,
Yeah.
with the mutiny of Treasure Planet, and greed.
Yeah, it's more along the lines of the themes and stuff that rather than like any other. I was looking for like a straight up, like, oh, somebody going to be like chained to a wall?
Yeah.
Or we could just be reading into it and they really just like the name.
Yeah.
Well, there's that possibility. We could have a curtains are blue situation here.
Yeah.
Where the writer says the curtains are blue and the English teacher says this symbolizes his sadness, but really he just meant that.
No,
the
it's
curtains
like,
are
no,
blue.
I thought it would look good with the rest of the setting.
I wonder. I don't know, but they did have plans for a sequel.
Yeah.
Like they already had a plot line in mind for a sequel, and they even had they were planning on casting Willem Dafoe as the new villain.
Ooh. There was a firefight.
Yeah, he was basically going to be Blackbeard, and Blackbeard was going to try and free a bunch of other pirates from this prison.
Oh.
And John Silver was going to come back and help Jim, who's now at the academy, to stop that. But I don't know, like if there would have been a chance for Montresor to get explained a little bit more.
Unless the prison's name was Fortunato.
No, at least in what I was reading, it was going to be Botany Bay, like based on Australia, basically.
Gotcha.
But I would bet money that they would have ended up using the idea that they ended up using in Pirates of the Caribbean. I would bet that his dad would have come back.
Yeah.
Right. Which, speaking of which, Pirates of the Caribbean did get a little shout out in Treasure Planet. Did you hear it?
With Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sings the
song.
Oh, yeah.
When he's rolling around the ship trying to find the the blasters, the cannons, whatever.
Yeah, where to unplug the blasters. Cannons.
Which was hilarious. I thought that entire sequence was pretty fantastic.
It was pretty good.
And this is before the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise got started. Because the first one of those was in 2003. This came out in 2002. So I wonder if this kind of primed the pump for that popularity.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Of course, with Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, you don't really need a lot of priming.
No.
I
Everybody's
should
like,
watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
I do like that movie.
it's good. I
I've
like
seen
pirates.
the first one.
I've seen the first
Pirates
3.
in general.
And I stopped. There's a lot.
There's a few.
true.
Yeah.
But
All right. So we've talked about what it will be already a little bit with the sequel.
The sequel that's not going to be
And
made.
plus, there's
never happened.
so many of these adaptations. I mean, I think the latest one was 2012. It was a TV movie. And at least that's the only one that I'm...
wait, are you talking about the miniseries? The BBC miniseries?
Maybe.
With Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
As
Yes. That
Long
is the one
John
I'm thinking
Silver?
of. Yep.
Yeah. Eddie Izzard? Yeah.
No?
Donald Sutherland played Captain Flint. Elijah Wood
Yeah.
played. Who did he play? He played Ben. That's who he played. Pretty sure he played Ben.
Well, anyway.
Well, if it's on the BBC, then I'll probably find it really interesting considering I'm a huge Anglophile.
They do good work.
Yeah, I love BBC.
It's true.
So, and it will continue to get remade because it is such a good starting point for a story.
It really is. Yeah.
You can tell a lot of different kinds of stories.
The
You're
call
based
to
on the same
adventure.
Yeah, it is kind of a nice. I mean, you could paint this up as Jim going through a hero's journey. You could paint this up as Jim going through a Bildungsroman. I'm going to try and use that word as often as possible now.
Yeah,
just
it's
so
pretty
we're
great. I
clear.
mean, hopefully we're using it right.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it actually is just a German tank.
No, actually, Panzer is the correct word.
Oh, wait a minute. This is very different than what my history class told me. But.
So that's. I mean, I'm kind of bummed that we won't get that sequel. To be honest,
Yeah, I think it would have been fun.
I think it would have been pretty good. But
Would have been neat.
yeah, if you're losing money on the primary movie, the sequel's not really.
That, and
in
let's
the
be
cards.
real, Disney and their sequels.
Yeah,
That is true. Yeah, good point.
Return to Neverland. We mentioned that one.
Don't. Please don't.
But
Also, I would like a morph of my own, please.
yeah,
I agree.
But one that pays attention a little bit better.
yeah.
One that isn't a little jerk.
That's not devious.
Yeah. He's so funny, isn't he?
You're so funny and quirky and weird. Cute.
Quirky and weird.
I do think that John McClane would have taken, would have made very short work of these pirates.
I agree.
Yeah, no question there. He would have eaten Mr. Scroop with butter sauce.
Ew.
Yeah.
And I could see him and Jim Hawkins teaming up.
Yeah, it would be a very different kind of father figure.
That'd be the
Different, but like
the buddy cop movie.
Oh,
I can see it.
Jim Hawkins.
Yeah, it'll
John
basically be
McClane.
Die Hard 3, and Jim will be Zeus.
So anyway, recommendations for the movie?
I think it's fun.
Yeah,
There's no reason not to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of pirates,
Yeah.
or space pirates,
Yeah.
or steampunk things.
yeah.
Or David Hyde Pierce and Emma Thompson.
Oh, that's true.
Ah,
I do take it back. David Hyde Pierce and Emma Thompson. You should watch it just for them.
basically Niles in space.
It
If you're a
really
fan of
is.
Frasier,
I actually wrote down on my notes, I said, thank God for David Hyde Pierce.
And I mean, who hasn't said that for, at some point in their life?
It's true.
That guy.
yeah. So amazing,
Pure
amazing
class.
job. I gotta applause for David Hyde Pierce in that.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah. No, what would you guys change?
Formula. That's the word I was looking for at the beginning of the podcast. It seemed like they were trying to follow some type of formula, and it just didn't work out for them the way that they wanted to.
Yeah.
So maybe shake things up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see Captain Amelia do more in the third act.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting hurt.
True.
Yeah, I think this movie really how do we put this? It's decent on its own, but it does leave open a lot of questions that would have been very nicely answered by a sequel.
Yeah.
So then they're not the kind of things that you could have explained more in this movie, but they could have explained it more in a sequel, which obviously we've already addressed that.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see more Billy Bones.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so the very first adaptation of Treasure Island that I had seen was Muppet Treasure Island. And Billy Connolly as Billy Bones was amazing. How does she do that? Yeah. So I just kind of really liked Billy Bones from then on, so.
Sorry. I had a weird look on my face because I'm going over my notes and I just realized we totally skipped over something that we should have talked about like half an hour ago, which I know we're like basically out of time, but we should at least mention the open sesame thing here. I mean, that this whole idea of a treasure trove of, that hoodlums have put together and that you don't know how to get to. Yeah, it's very, very similar to that story from Alibaba and the
40
Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
Alibaba had them 40 thieves.
Yeah, exactly, from 1001 Nights. So I don't know. We probably don't really have a lot of time to address that now, but it's a good story on its own of a guy who finds a treasure, with a very complicated intrigue method and steals it, and then he builds a really nice hotel for his mom.
Which,
well, not that part, but
I love how he's like uses his genie to be like, I want fed. And he brings them food on golden trays, and they're like, "Oh, this is perfect. We'll just collect the golden trays."
We're not going to ask for gold. We'll just ask for more food and then keep the wrappings.
Yeah. Anyway,
we'll come back to that in some other episode.
I'm sure we'll get to 40 Thieves sometime. So
I was all excited last night, and then I totally forgot about it. Oh well.
So anyway, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, again.
Open sesame.
Open sesame.
Brain. That's what I should have said.
Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of the hour. So, any last thoughts?
Disney, keep making adventure movies. I like these movies.
I like Disney adventure movies, yeah.
They're fun. I just hope people keep giving them the attention they deserve.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Whatever mysterious magic formula, makes people love something. Why do people love Frozen and not this movie? Music. It's the music. It's the Goo Goo Dolls. We're going to blame them. That's it. Problem solved. Mystery, case closed. It is Resnick's fault or whatever his name is. Okay.
It's the Goo Goo Dolls.
Nicely done, gentlemen. I think we can go now.
All right. Well, I think, Thanks for joining us today on the Story Cauldron. The music for this episode is from the band Hook Sounds.
And if you want to find more of us, you can search for The Story Cauldron on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter.
Also, go to thestorycauldron.com if you want to find out what is going on with the podcast and more about us and just things like that. And don't forget to rate us on iTunes and leave a review.
That's the real treasure.
It helps other people find our podcast and makes us feel like we've won the treasure. We found the treasure. Right?
And then we give it up to save our friends from the lava.
Because that's what Disney movies are all about.
Yeah, I got nothing. You're right.
We are done.
We should sing.
We should sing.
Bye.
Until next time.
Bye.